So I ripped off the top of this tray in order to make some room for this energy drink, which is one of 4 I bought at the Nest following my Spanish class today. These are the mini cakes that Bill gave to me for my birthday. They taste pretty good. It's a good thing I took his advice of keeping it in the mini fridge in the dorm room to keep them fresh for longer. They're all individually wrapped. I'm currently working on this task. I hope to complete just enough to get to here. Then I may be able to get to level 9 of evolving this building. I'm currently at 7. I have thoughts of upgrading this training grounds. After all, it's not going to be exclusively these Siberias forever, of which I have so many that I have 60 squads of them, even with my current squad size of, I believe, 141. Initially, when I got to the Spanish class, I ended up having worries that there was going to be a quiz today, because I hadn't properly prepared for it, due to an email about there being a quiz on Tuesday, or Martes, and then a test on Thursday, or Jueves. H's within the Spanish language are silent, in that, although you write them when they appear within the written word, when pronouncing the words, you don't actually say them. The Spanish word for hello is spelled H-O-L-A, but it's pronounced hola. It's not pronounced hola. It's pronounced hola. These aren't the conventional cookies for something to dip in milk. But it's better than nothing. I try not to get too much for dinner. Since I consumed some of these for both breakfast and as a small snack before heading off to the Spanish class room. In case I haven't already said so, the dining services are now carry-out only. Prior to the pandemic, you could only carry out basically one cookie of the dining hall. If you wanted to take advantage of your meal plan or otherwise eat within the dining halls, you had to stay in there to eat. Because they didn't have these trays to carry your food on. Now, I currently hope that will soon develop a vaccine. Early testing has shown one potential vaccine to be 90% effective, which is pretty good and is definitely better than nothing. Following the Spanish class, I got a pretty good lunch. I currently have the rest of these Rockstar punch drinks. In my mini fridge, although getting 4 of them putting them into a paper bag and gave me something to put my food in. I put it in similarly to like this so that food wouldn't spill out. I recall getting pigeon peas with rice, and the rice was orange colored based on what I can recall. And I also got some crusted tapioca fish, which tastes pretty good. I wouldn't really call that an improvement, but it's still pretty good. I hear tonight at 7 there's going to be an event at Eagle Hall starting at 7 in which you can get some free snacks. It supposedly just started. So, after this, I'm going to take a quick walk down to the Eagle Hall lobby. I was finally able to build the Golden Abyss Ancient Wonder by making some trader offers. Kind of like this. Trade up most of my elixirs so I could get more planks and marble. The next thing to do, it seems, is to get this research upgrade completed. Excuse me. Excuse me. A new tournament started today. And it should be Pacific. It's the Silk Tournament, so that's helped me with trying to gain enough relics in time. But so too should this, hence why I ultimately did it. That building is not, I don't really consider it valuable enough to really make it worth getting, at least not at the moment. There's a lot of other things you could get. I had one of these Rockstar drinks, if I recall, during my lunch, because I was feeling pretty tired. During my Spanish class. Despite that, though, I still tried my best to participate in the exercises we worked on together as a class. I may have been tired because I believe I stayed up until roughly 4:30 in the morning. I used this tool to try to clean up my charger port, to try and make my charger be able to go all the way in again. I can still charge my laptop, but only if it's turned off. As of right now, it's only charging enough to maintain the charge. My battery's currently at 83%. I mean, I long had a habit of continuously charging my laptop, and I did make efforts to try and break that habit, because I heard that it's not good to continuously charge your laptop. Today was the day I had my last and fourth Talk Abroad conversation. I spent roughly, I would say, 2 hours planning for it by brainstorming questions to ask my Talk Abroad partner, with whom I've been consistent throughout these four 15-minute conversations. Although, despite my planning, she kind of threw me for a loop by asking me questions. I am at least a little fluent in Spanish because I have been studying the language at least casually for a number of years. Excuse me, but that fluency is currently limited. So I at times struggled to express what I ultimately wanted to express when I was asked these questions. I believe I showed these styrofoams to Sandra, and then these at the end of my criminal law class. Since I have so many styrofoam pieces, I'm feeling a sudden urge to do what I've been doing to pieces of styrofoam on and off for years. With more on than off, I would say. I finished this one shortly before my talk abroad conversation. I usually pick the for in the morning slot. That's what I did the last 3 times. I think even for the first time when I was accidentally forgot to do it on the day it was due, or by that day. But for today, only a slot for 4:30 p.m. was available, so it ended up being shortly for my criminal law class. At the end of my Spanish class, I was handed this, though in general, La Profesora forgot to hand out the quizzes. I was told that this was the highest grade in the class, but the class size is pretty small. I believe there's only 8 or 9 students total taking Intermediate Spanish 1, which is kind of a shame because it's very beneficial to know a second language. It can unlock a lot of opportunities for you. When I fell asleep, this morning, in the early hours of the morning, I had a pretty bizarre dream. For which I wrote down these notes to help me remember it. Because if you make no effort to remember a dream, I think you typically forget about 90% of it within 10 minutes. There was this small child on a sort of hospital bed in red pajamas with no limbs in that dream. Basically the size of a baby, but more like a young male child. Taking place in a hospital setting with a sign saying they couldn't help him. Seemed pretty weird. I made an effort to start this Styrofoam project basically shortly before the lecture section of the class began for my criminal law class. Ultimately, though, it wouldn't be wise to just work on a Styrofoam project when there are notes to be taken off of a PowerPoint lecture. I also rewatched that Dan Hamlin burns the car in the house down. It wasn't made by me. It was made back in 2014 by, I guess, a fan of the Dan Hamlin episodes. I found that animation to be pretty funny. I watched it right before the Talk Abroad conversation to cut the tension, although I wasn't as nervous for it as I was for the earlier ones, which is a good sign. Our conversation this time was about basically the home. What you like to do at home, the types of rooms at home, the kinds of furniture at home, and so forth. To give my preparation for Talk Abroad conversation, here it is. Though I think I only managed to ask about 3 of those questions. This one being one of them. While I was staying up into the early hours of the morning, I also worked on that car swerve scene within the new 99th Dan Hamlin. Right now, I just need to obtain some props for the episode. That current scene I'm working on. To simulate a bull breaking a window. Because I think that would happen at a sufficient speed. Shortly before my Talk Abroad conversation, I also attended a part of today's personnel committee meeting via Microsoft Teams, but I only attended part of the meeting, roughly 15 minutes of it. Or to be exact, I think it was exactly 12 minutes of it. Because I had the Talk Abroad conversation took priority, because if I were to miss it, I wouldn't get a refund on it, and it would then be late at best and entirely skipped at worst. And that would hurt my grade in Intermediate Spanish 1. Which would be awful, since I've been working to raise it. So I can continue my trend of at least making the Dean's List each semester. I'm currently at an 81%, which I think is at least a B- for the class. And that's not counting what'll happen if I catch up with my grammar journal entries, or that the 86% I got on this quiz. Which is higher than the 81% weighted total I currently have, so I have good reason to expect improvements. That being that extra credit hasn't been factored in, I don't think. The first one I did for Spanglish in the US, and I've signed up for a workshop session because it's been introduced as a second extra credit opportunity, which I'm definitely interested in. Because I want to do the very best I can within my classes. I believe I've taken a picture of this styrofoam and this one, but not this one. I think by the time I got around to it and I was free from the Talk Abroad conversation and from criminal law, and then I had to go and get dinner pretty much. Plus I took a few extra minutes after my criminal law class to show these new styrofoams I made today. It was kind of too late. And instead of natural light, I would have to resort to artificial light, or the natural light of a sun that has started to set, and that's different from when the sun is at the peak, so to speak, neither rising nor setting. That is commonly associated with the noon. And obviously, there's subtle or not so subtle differences between that. And I want to try and make my styrofoam pictures as consistent as possible, so external factors don't ultimately make the styrofoams look different. So the styrofoams only look different because they truly are different. I think in about 3 hours of work, due to how complex that bowl of mustard seed is, I only added about 1 second of length to the Dan Hammond episode because of the method and how I work on Dan Hammond episodes today.